Hello, this is Andrew with $1Million Bike, and this is a Bryton Gardia R300L. The Bryton Gardia R300L is a radar-enabled tail light for your bike. Competitors include Garmin's Varia, and there's a Magine L508. The Gardia is $130 compared to $200 for the Garmin and $120 for the Magine. Before digging in too far, I think we ought to talk about what this is and why you might want one. The easiest way to think about this, while not totally correct, is similar to a rearview mirror. It's a thing that indicates that there are fast-moving objects behind you, what their relative speed is with icons, tones, and colors on a compatible bike computer or your phone. You'll notice I didn't say cars. I said fast-moving object because these radar units don't detect cars. Although cars are the most likely source of a fast-moving object behind you, cars aren't the only trigger. So it's important to understand that. I have had my Varia trigger from what I think is a large bird kind of swooping in. At least that's what I think it was. I was out in the middle of nowhere. I also use these radar devices during races to know when another rider is coming up behind me really fast. It's great to know when you're about to get attacked. Personally, I see bike radar as a safety device, similar to a helmet. While you can opt not to use either one, it's not a great idea, especially when you've experienced the value of both. The R300L supports both ANT plus radar and lights. So any head unit that supports these profiles can receive radar alerts and control the light modes on the device. I tested the R300L primarily with a Bryton Rider 750 SE, but also with a Garmin Edge 530 and my Fenix 7. It works almost the same in all three devices and should work fine with any other head unit that supports those profiles. It is important to be aware that, as far as I know, Wahoo elements only support ANT plus radar. They do not support lights. So if you're using a Wahoo computer, you will get the radar alerts, but you won't be able to manage what light pattern is being used by the Gardia. So it doesn't go unsaid. That isn't specific to the Gardia. The same limitation exists with any other radar light device because Wahoo only supports the radar profile for ANT plus. Most of us are going to use this with a compatible bike computer, but if you want to use it with your phone, you can do that. Bluetooth is used instead of ANT plus for that scenario because there aren't many phones that still support ANT plus. I'm going to put some app screenshots around here showing you some of the functionality and features that are enabled. Basically, it works the same way on the phone as it does with a head unit. You just see the cars moving by when they show up. You're going to want to install the mobile app even if you don't intend to use the Gardia with your phone, because the app is how you get firmware updates on the Gardia. Before getting into unboxing, I quickly want to say two things. First, Bryton sent me the Gardia for review. They don't have any editorial control. Everything I say here is true and my own thoughts, but I think it's important to be transparent around that and to say thank you to Bryton, because I like to play with cool stuff, and I think radar is really cool. Secondly, I love that this has USB Type C. I wish everyone would adopt USB Type C yesterday. I'm really glad that Bryton put USB Type C on the Gardia. So let's start unboxing this Bryton Gardia R300L. First things, a couple quick start guide and some safety instructions. A USB Type C with an L adapter. That's nice. Some mounting adapters, the mounting bracket. Now I'm pretty sure that Bryton uses an offset or 100 or 90 degree offset from the Garmin mount that's very similar. So just something to be aware of if you need to switch between the two. And here is the Gardia 300. Charging port is down here at the bottom. The water cover, dust cover. I love that it's USB-C. Okay, so let's get some quick weights for the R300L. Device itself, 69.6 grams. The mount by itself, 25.7 grams. The Arrow seat post mount adds 10.8, and the D shape, and I imagine the round shape as well, pad adds 6 grams or 5.9 grams. So if we have these together, this is 31.6, 36.5. Now let's talk functionality. Battery life is claimed at 17 hours. I ran it from 100% to dead in 16.8 hours using primarily the day flash mode. That's impressive. Obviously, the results will vary based on which light mode you use, but that I saw numbers that were so close to the claimed battery life is fantastic. Of course, none of that matters if it doesn't work.
So I'm out in a busy street area. I have some parked cars behind me and a train. So this is a road that I do ride on, although I wouldn't ride on it this time of day because it's, what, about 5:30 p.m. I have a high-tech solution in front of me. So my incredibly high-tech solution is a stick where I have a Bryton head unit, the 750 Rider 750 SE, the Garmin head unit, the Edge 530, and down here I have the two radar units, a Garmin 515, RTL 515, and a Bryton Gardia R300L. You'll notice that I have this tethery thing on the Garmin. I added that. It's a camera cap tether. I don't know why neither one of these companies puts a tether on their radars. They should. I wouldn't have this one if it didn't have a tether. It would have fallen off my bike several times. They clearly both understand that tethers are important because they put them on the head unit, so I don't get it. So anyway, that is my super high-tech solution. Well, let's get started here. You can see there aren't any cars. The idea here is you'll be able to see the cars kind of like when they approach, when the units detect them. So just wait a sec here. So now we can see a car is coming. The Bryton detected it a little bit earlier than the Garmin, but it was pretty close. You can see that the Garmin is detecting multiple cars sooner and more reliably, but the Bryton is not giving the all clear until they've all passed, and as they get closer, it is detecting them and they are showing up, so the numbers are right. It's just that it's not quite as quick to identify multiple cars behind other cars. And that's pretty consistent with my experience with the device, is that it is incredibly reliable for what you need it to do, which is to detect initial car presence and not give false positives for when it's clear.
The next part is kind of nerdy. So if you just want to skip that and get the buy, no buy recommendations kind of thing, I really like the Bryton Gardia. I think that if you are in the market for a radar unit, and you should be in the market for a radar unit if you don't already have one, this would be at the top of the list because it provides the same functionality as the Garmin Varia, but at a significantly lower price point. I really struggle to see how the Garmin is worth $70 more than this. Okay, so you were warned. The first nerd stuff is a feature I really like about the Gardia with a Bryton head unit. Let's look at how easy it is to control it in here and how nice that the integration is there. So we're going to select this road bike profile. If I just tap on here, you can see that there's this screen here that shows us what sensors are connected. In this case, it's the radar and the light. And here we can see that I have the light set to off. I'm just going to turn this a little bit so it doesn't blind us. If I want it to go high solid, I can go low solid. I can go night flash, day flash, a group ride, okay, and then off. This ability to control that light so easily from this screen here, this data screen, is light years ahead of what Garmin lets you do. I love this. I absolutely love this feature that you can just, like, you riding by yourself, go to the ride, have it on, you know, night flash or whatever, because it's early morning. You get to the group ride, you don't want to blind everybody with that. You can just pop that up, go to group ride. And then it dials down the intensity of that light right away. You don't have to dig around in like the settings like you do in the Garmin app. And you don't have to push the button, which is going to be behind you and hard to get to, and you're not going to be able to tell exactly what mode it's in. The second nerd stuff is a neat feature that you can only get if you use a Garmin head unit, as far as I know. And that's MyBikeTraffic integration. For those who aren't familiar, MyBikeTraffic is a Connect IQ app that you can use with a Garmin device to track the number of fast-moving object detections and their approach speed. I really like this integration. It's super cool. You can see a quick example of it somewhere on the screen here with my Gardia and a 530 up around here. I would love it if more bike computers were supported, but unfortunately, as far as I know, it's just Garmin for now. And the last nerdy thing is that sometimes the object behind you solid light that the Gardia makes when there's a fast moving object doesn't clear when the object is gone when you're using it with the Bryton Rider 750 SE. It's hard to see here, but the Gardia sent the all clear to the head unit. There were no cars on the right. I saw the green light, I heard the tone, but the lamp was still solid instead of reverting to day flash mode. I don't know if this only reproduces on the 750 SE, or I just didn't notice it with Garmin devices, and clearly it doesn't really matter. I'm just saying it more because I found nothing else to complain about, and not finding something to complain about felt like a failure. I hope you found that useful. If you did, go ahead and like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. Cheers.